And he wants to know, how was I able to stop watching porn? So recently I put out a video on YouTube. It was a podcast clip, and it was a segment from a larger podcast, and it was a segment about why I chose to stop watching pornography. If you want, this video for some reason did well, like compared to the videos on my podcast. And it's interesting because I was actually extremely nervous about putting out this video. I thought that I would get a lot of negative backlash from people because I thought, porn is so normal and everybody does it. So if I talk about why I stopped watching it, I was worried that I was going to come across as some like Bible belter or something like that, which isn't the case, by the way. Like I do see why porn is an exciting thing, and I'm not like this like sexually conservative person necessarily either. So I was worried I was going to get a lot of negative backlash about that one. But to my surprise, I actually got a lot of people who reached out to me about that. I do wish they would have like left the comments in the comment section instead of reaching out to me personally, because it would have helped grow the channel. But that's me just being selfish. On a serious note, a lot of people reached out to me privately, either texted me or called me or sent me an Instagram message saying how much it meant to them that I released that video, because they too had been in a situation where pornography was something damaging for them. And by the way, I was getting messages from both men and women. I was getting messages from men saying like, hey, I thought porn was normal, and then after a while I realized it was controlling my life. Like I had an addiction for it, and it was like a huge distraction in my life and whatnot. And then I also had women reaching out to me saying like, hey, my husband or boyfriend had a porn addiction and it like totally destroyed my self-esteem in the relationship. And so I realized, like, while I thought this was going to be a controversial video, it was actually something that a lot of people related to, and that meant a lot to me. So I'm not going to like really discuss the details of why I quit watching pornography. If you want to know more about that, I'll put a link to that video below so you can click on that and watch it later. I'm just going to stick to the question at hand, which is how I was able to stop watching pornography. It wasn't like an overnight. It wasn't like, oh, I just one day read something that disturbed me about pornography and then quit the next day. It was kind of something that was slowly coming in the back of my head over time, where like I would use pornography and I would masturbate to it, and literally while I was doing it, I would my mind's like sidetracking right now, but I'll get back to it later. I'd be in the middle of like watching pornography and masturbating, and while I'm watching it, I would like feel something in my gut saying like, I feel like the woman's facial expression in this video is that she's not happy doing this, or something. Like something would feel weird inside my body, but I would just like suppress those feelings and then just keep doing it. So like I said, it wasn't an overnight fix. It was really just more paying attention to that feeling and learning more about that feeling over time. Like not continuing to suppress that feeling, to ask more questions about that feeling. So over time, I just started reading more about pornography in the modern era, and reading about how it has had a negative impact on society and stuff like that. And I also just want to say that I read this quote recently that it wasn't about pornography. It was about government structures. And it basically said that it's one of my, by the way, I'm probably going to annoy people with this quote, because I'm probably going to use it multiple times on the podcast. So I'm just warning you about that. The quote was, for every type of government structure, there is an evil twin for it. So what that basically means is that when people try to solve a problem, you know what I mean? Like, and they come up with a system to solve a problem, you know, and government structures being that, you know, a democracy, a monarchy, etc. There may be good reasons to have those. Government structures, and you might see some beauty or like the closest thing to utopia by having a certain thing in mind. But at some point, you're going to have a problem. And then that's why they said like every government structure has an evil twin, meaning there's no such thing as utopia. Everything that exists, if there's good in it, there's also bad in it. And I now listen to this quote and apply it to everything. And I'm going to use that quote right now for pornography. I feel like it's more of a complex issue than it seems to be, because like, again, every good thing has an evil twin. What that means is there are good things about pornography. Like, there are valid reasons why people should watch it. Somebody could feel lonely, and that's really the only way they could get their needs met at the time, because they can't find a partner. There could be people that, for whatever reason, whether they have a certain disability or a physical handicap of some time, maybe they can't find a partner, and that's their only experience of sexual satisfaction. You know what I mean? Or maybe the people making the videos, maybe they can't find any other way to pay their bills and make money. And that's the only conclusion that they've been able to figure out. So I'm not saying that there aren't valid reasons to use pornography. But what I'm saying is every idea, like they said about the government structure, every idea has its evil twin. And to me, the evil twin of this was realizing that while there were good things about pornography, there's also bad things about it too. And there's also reasons why it could be a bad thing for society. And then when I started paying attention to the two different sides, the good and the evil of this issue, I personally started to realize that there was more evil and damage being done by the industry than good. There is good in there are good things about the industry, but more or less it's contributing to society in a negative way. And I think for me, like going forward, that's going to kind of be my guidance of how to deal with any issue that I can't decide on, is like understanding that there's good and bad. There's good and evil to every single complex issue. And the answer isn't to find utopia. The answer is to find the closest thing to it. So you're going to find a solution that still has a lot of flaws. But it's better to find the lesser evil, the solution with the less flaws is the answer for me. So long story short, to answer your question, to me, it wasn't like I weaned myself off of pornography. It was more that I just really started listening to that voice inside my head saying like, hey, this could be a bad thing. And then I started doing my research on it. And then once I finally realized that I truly believed that this was more negative than good, I then had the confidence and the courage to just stop.